Welcome back to the Himalayan webinar series. Today we'll be talking about module 15, the Eastern Dhauladhar. As usual, we are live every day at 8 o'clock on Zoom at the URL given, and recordings are posted on Insta TV, ultrajourneys.org, and my YouTube channel, Peter van Geit. Here you can see one of the passes on the Eastern Dhauladhar, the Tamsar Pass. You can see a beautiful glacial lake there, still partly covered by ice and snow at the end of August last summer. After the heavy snowfall the previous winter, took almost the entire summer for the winter snow to melt. Today we'll be talking about mainly 4 important passes: the Waru, the Gully, the Tamsar, and the Makori Pass. Each of these passes was quite a challenge when I traversed it this year, either getting lost, getting stuck in landslides, whiteouts. Was quite adventurous. So we'll talk about each of these experiences in the coming slides. To the right, you can see another beautiful view of the mist-covered Barot Valley as we are descending lower on the Tamsar Pass. Voila. So here you can see the sequence of the passes, the numbers as I traversed them last summer. The last 6 passes here mentioned are in the eastern side of the Dhauladhar. Let us take a look maybe on Google Earth as usual. So here again we see the Western Himalayas. We have Uttarakhand, Himachal, Jammu and Kashmir. The Dhauladhar are located in the western part of the Himalayas, Himachal. And they basically are the range here, the first range that we meet as we approach from the Kangra Plains, the white wall rising up steeply east to west. To enter into the Chamba Valley actually is the Dhauladhar range. We discussed the Western Dhauladhar yesterday, so today we'll be focusing on this eastern section, which goes initially towards the west and then turns slowly along the Kulu Valley, separating Kulu and the eastern part of Kangra from the interior Chamba Valley here. If you look at the map, we can see the Waru Pass here, the Jalsu Pass, the Tamsar Pass, the Makori Pass, very less known, wonderful adventure, and then the Kaliheni Pass rising up directly from Kulu towards the remote town of Parabangal here, which is one of the most isolated places in Himachal. I mean, most distant remote hamlets, almost 2 days away from any roadheads, can only be accessed to the Tamsar Pass, the Makori Pass, or the Kaliheni Pass, or by going along the Ravi River, which is like a very treacherous path. Okay. So same map again is here shown symbolically with all the different points of reference. Makori and Tamsar passes, by the way, connect the Barot Valley. These 2 side valleys connect together to the Barot Valley and give both access to Parabangal in Chamba. So Waru was an interesting start. Waru was completely unknown, completely undocumented, only used by shepherds, so no blogs, no GPS logs. The only thing I knew was the location of the Waru Pass. On my bus, on the bus to the base village in Chamba Valley, to this, the doggies seem to be active today. Sorry for that. So on the way to the base village, which was supposed to be Tanitar, I was asking the bus conductor, many local villagers on the bus, where is Tanitar? Nobody had ever heard of Tanitar. So until the bus dropped me somewhere halfway, and I picked up some food for the estimated 2-day crossing of the Waru Pass. Only the Daba owners seem to roughly know the directions towards Tanitar, very interior hamlet, where mostly people were not staying anymore, kind of abandoned, as we see in many places. So he made me this hand sketch, and that's all I had basically to reach there. Here is the actual kind of schematic map. So from a temple, famous temple of Lak Wali Mata, you'll climb up on a ridge instead of following actually the valley in which the Waru Pass is located. In some cases, the stream is too ferocious actually. In this case, we had to go through a small village, Chunadi, through a forest path, again through an undocumented forest path, go up to the ridge to a small temple of Tundamunda. From there, actually, there was a pretty good path to the town, I mean, not town, to 5 broken houses of Tanitar. And after that was the whole point of the Waru, where there was a split left and right, and Peter van Geit took the wrong side, as we'll see in a while. So here you can see this small village of Tanitar, beautiful houses actually built on the slopes. High above you can see the Waru Pass there, visible from the beginning of this valley, but it would take a significant adventure to reach there. After getting down from Tanitar, you actually cross the stream. There's still a proper bridge here. After crossing the stream again, there will be a split, one going back to the right side of the valley, the other one going to the left side of the valley. There, actually, I took the wrong turn. Initially on the right, the path seemed to fade out. So I thought it might be the left path, which was much better. But that left path eventually ended up climbing and climbing up. Instead of going forward, I climbed up completely on the ridge, separating the Jalsu and the Waru Pass valleys. Good thing is that I ended up in good hospitality here with some shepherds. Had a wonderful stay, good food.
We're staying tonight at the base of the Waru Pass with 2 nice gentlemen, 2 garis with 333 sheep. They are making chapatis and chaval.
Okay, so then from that side, actually, it was possible to get down again. There was a pretty good path. Going down the valley, the shepherds told me, okay, that is the way towards Waru. But again, that path kind of appeared, disappeared as it went through big meadows and forest sections. At the meantime, I could see the shepherds actually walking with their long herds on the opposite side of the valley, confirming that I was indeed on the wrong side. Here, a small video of myself scrambling through the forests.
Getting down from the ridge where I stayed with the shepherds. Initially we had a decent trail, but we missed it in the first big meadow where it always fades out. And now basically going off trail, CTC style, to digging my way through dense jungle, rhodo bushes, small side gullies, and forest on the way to the Waru Pass.
So that was still fine, but then after that I basically came into a problem, and this is a typical thing that happens in the Himalayas if you go off trail. So you end up basically in unexpected steep drops. So I was walking on through this forest on the upper side here, was able to get into this small little side stream, which, as you can see, was impossible to descend. There was like a 50-meter drop here, caused by a side valley, a side gully, basically a side stream which had cut deeply into the landscape. So from the bottom you can still see a little bit the topography, but from the top you're basically blind, and you have to figure out walking along this ridge here for a possible way down. So this was like the first free solo, almost 50 meter near a near vertical section to get into this gully in order to proceed forward on the wrong side of the valley. That was still okay. The next gully was slightly more deeply cut. This was a bigger side valley here to come to the right side of the where I had seen the shepherds. So here I was scrambling again high above a ridge, 100-meter drop easily. You can see it on the contour map. Not very visible on the contour maps. Contours typically are like smoothly extrapolated, so you don't see these immediate drops on the real world. So here again, it was a very risky affair. These are not solid rocks, these are all like loose rocks and scree, and coming down from this pretty steep is quite a challenge. So eventually coming down on top until you set firm foothold on the frozen snow gully. Okay, finally, I was happy, at least for the time being. I did not know what was still waiting for me. happy to have at least some good company for the night. Settle down with these gentlemen here, camping at the base of the Waru Pass with a big herd. Weather turned bad. I had lost my rain jacket, by the way, near the Indrahar Pass. So I had to wait actually until the weather cleared up. I could not risk to get wet. A rain jacket is the most important part in your gear set. And had to wait till the next morning basically to start off to the Waru Pass. As usual, again, no trail visible, no language to talk to these, ask for guidance to these shepherds. So I checked everywhere on the slope, nothing was there. So eventually I decided to just walk across this gully, which from a distance appeared to be quite steep. So I didn't know whether I would be able to walk up or slip down. So luckily, here you can see in the video, I was able to really get a pretty
walking up frozen
on this,
snow gully here towards the Waru Pass from Tanetar to Palampur in Kangra. From a distance it seemed impossible to walk on a frozen snow gully given the steepness, but looks like that it's quite good hard surface, a bit rough, so not too slippery. My target is up there on the right side, the Waru Pass, one of the flattest passes across the Dhauladhar. I can see some marks here of trees being dragged down for firewood by the gadis down there.
So I could see marks in the gully actually that shepherds had dragged firewood along with them. So finally, crossing all the way up, a little bit steep towards the pass, but still manageable as snow was not too hard frozen to get up there. Just the beginning of the ridge, of small part of the Dhauladhar Ridge was melted. You could see the Alpine meadows appearing. Nice, beautiful shelter on top of this Waru Pass. Pretty flat pass given the steepness of most ridges across the Dhauladhar or Pir Panjal. On the other side, of course, it drops down steeply. And there I had my biggest challenge so far, free solo number 3 and 500 meters, here clearly visible on the topography map. Steep drop onto again to reach firm foothold on the frozen snow gully below. So the rocks you see here are like very steep. I was able to follow the shepherd trail for a while, but all of a sudden, no matter how I looked, and not because of any whiteout and the weather, but simply the 500 sheep who had come across this near vertical ridge, the trail of those sheep completely disappeared, vanished. I tried my best many times to trace back. I could see the trail in one place, 10 meters further, the 500 sheep had completely disappeared. So unable to find the track, started climbing down, and again ended up in a couple of tricky kind of free solo experiences, hanging on to roots and little, those little exposed rocks that give you your final handholds. Not big actually. I mean, all of these were like 4 or 5 meter type of vertical sections. But again, if you slip and you start falling, pick up speed, then you're gone. Okay, the next pass, the Kalihini Pass, start as I mentioned from near Manali. I mean, a little bit 10-15 kilometers south of Manali in the Kulu Valley at 1,800 meters, and you climb up steeply along the slope of the Kulu Valley. Go initially through these beautiful apple orchards. You can pick 4 or 5 apples with you from the tens of thousands you will find along the way, which gives you good nutrition. Come also across again these beautiful hand-carved temples in some of the villages there. Amazing handwork. Climbing up further, you get into the forest and the meadows. So here we walk up high above the valley that will eventually lead towards the Kalihini Pass. Here you can see a profile of the Kalihini Pass, right? You can see from the Kulu Valley, you can actually climb up quite steeply looking at the contours. You cross the pass, then have a big glacier hanging below the pass, go to moraines, and finally cross a couple of beautiful glacial lakes before you get into the valley. Here you can see the glacier actually. I mean, you cannot see the glacier, it's fully covered by snow this year. It was fully exposed in 2018, the previous year, again, because of heavy snowfall, winter snowfall, which never melted even at the end of the summer in 2018. Let's go for a walk now, just to get a feel. You can see
walking
my
down the
trekker.
Gully Glacier, actually covered by fresh snow at 4,800 meters. One of the passes
glacier.
connecting Kulu and Chamba Valley, following the footsteps of a hiking party ahead of us there.
New Zealanders
a lot
ahead
of snow
of us.
this winter. This was all clear. Rocks and ice last year. There is the valley into
Glacial Lakes,
which will be heading towards Barabangal, one of the most remote villages of Chamba.
Massive glacier hanging across
From there
the
we'll be heading up to
range of the eastern Dhauladhar here. You can see it hanging from the entire ridge there on the right side.
A couple of guys are...
Okay, so then coming down here towards the base of the glacier, we get into a lake which is basically formed because of the rubble blocking the water from draining like a normal stream. So here finally, once we get lower, we get into the stream. This is not glacier anymore. This is just compacted snow which has become ice in the winter snowfall. So this again makes it sometimes easy to cross the wild stream, which is otherwise impossible to cross. So finally, a little bit down the stream, we come across a rock shelter here and some shepherds, and we come on an auspicious day. This shelter is actually built near a small temple where every year, actually all the shepherds in the surrounding who were grazing in this huge Kaliheni Valley all meet up together, and they were preparing actually a festival food in big dabbas. God knows how they got those dabbas there in the middle of nowhere to celebrate the occasion. Walking down further in the Kaliheni Valley, you can see vast meadows on the slopes above the forest below. Steep, the Kaliheni Nala cuts steeply in the landscape, but you can have a trail that walks high above the stream towards the town of Barabangal here at the confluence of the Kaliheni Nala coming from this valley and the Ravi River valley coming from the other side. Here you finally come into Barabangal, beautiful wooden houses here, even the roofs are wood. In the background you see the the Ravi River valley coming from the junction, the border actually of the Kulu, the Kulu, the Lahore and the Chamba districts, you can say. Here you can see the apple orchards in full, bearing full fruits at the end of August. Near Barabangal, the Kaliheni Nala is too wild. The bridges which were there the previous year completely washed away. So the villagers here resorted to a cable bridge to transport people as well as goods which are transported from the Tamsar Pass. Here you can see, I think, one of these trolleys in live action. Okay, so then further on it gets more intense. We have a side stream, the Tamsar Nali, actually the stream coming down from the Tamsar Glacier that we have to cross. I think I don't have a video here. You can see it in some of the other webinars. Here you can see the topography around the Tamsar Pass. One side you have glaciers. This is the side from where we'll be coming, crossing the path, and then again that beautiful glacial lake that you saw on the first slide of this presentation. So from there, a stream dips down very steeply to the first shelter used by shepherds. Here you can see that glacial lake below the Tamsar Pass, and below the glacier again, fully covered by snow. Here we are climbing up the final section of the Tamsar Pass.
We're walking up the Tamsar Pass here, final climb on the snow-covered glacier. Huge glacier below us, last year exposed, this year completely covered by snow due to the strong winter.
See, glaciers are as usual as far as the eye can see. Fully covered by snow this year.
Quite intense here.
The ice was exposed the
Climbing up that
previous year
fort.
when I did the same glacier. Crossing the Tamsar Pass and getting down to the shelter you saw on the map. This is the shelter in reality. It's a, you could say, a beautiful, heavenly place to stay for the summer, drying some goat meat on top and grazing your sheep in the surrounding meadows. Beautiful, stunning views on the cloud-covered Barrowed Valley below. Coming down then, the weather got a little bad, rainy in the Barrowed side, not able to see more than 15 meters due to fog, whiteout, and then again, the trail not being very clear on the map, big ice bridges, snow bridges covering the stream. We had to basically walk over the stream in these snow bridges wherever they were not melted, wherever they are melted, of course, the wild stream appears from underneath and you have to find a way on either left or right side of the valley. That was a little bit tricky. Further down the Barrowed Valley, massive landslides, entire section of the hill here, including the upper forest layer. You can see it's not a very thick layer, just maybe half a meter or 1 meter of soil on top of this solid rock, all washed away, and the trail, which was perfect in the previous year, was completely gone. So impossible actually almost to cross this section. Just imagine with horses loaded with goods for Baramagal, completely out of the question. Then the third interesting pass was the Makuri Pass, here starting from the village of Bujling, where they still grind their grains with a hydro-powered grinder. Let me just show you how it works.
We're here at Bujling village, last hamlet in the valley of Barrowed. We have a grinder here mixed by the side stream through hydropower. Let's take a look inside. The force of the water will rotate the grinding stone. On top they put any type of grains, in this case corn. Corn is then carefully released by the vibration of this piece of wood on the stone into the grinding stone and then made into powder.
So the vibrations of the stone actually are used to drop the grains one by one. Beautifully done. Climbing up further in this Barrowed Valley now, beyond the last village of Bujling, we come across villages there at the base of the Makuri Pass, which are collecting medicinal roots, which are dried at the spot as they are quite heavy when they are wet, so they are dried, put in big sacks. Every sack, I checked, is easily 25, 30 kilograms, and then these 50, 60-year-old solid guys from the village, they carry these bags together with their blankets, together with their cooking utensils, all the way back over these almost unwalkable forest paths. Here a small water wash in a buffalo shed at the base of Makuri.
Wow. I know I haven't taken a bath for a few months. Thanks for cleaning up a few missed out spots. So we're on the way from Lohardi to the Gairu Pass, but got a little bit stuck in bad weather and yeah, missed the path, so got a little bit stuck in the forest. But luckily we found this nice gentleman here, the cowherder, who offered us some shelter for the rain and a couple of nice buffies in his place. Doggy is also here taking a nap. We know he likes the cold rainy weather outside there.
Yeah, it rains.
It's again fully overcast, so we're just waiting for the weather to clear to proceed further.
Voila, that was the end of the conversation. So after the weather cleared up, then we proceeded further, sheltering for the rain. And we also missed the pass near this the trail near this buffalo shelter. So the next morning, when the weather was clear and dry, we could at least kind of get the right direction, get back on track, and finally climb up to the beautiful meadows. And again, a snow-covered stream below the pass. Makuri Pass was quite interesting, quite a steep ascent here. Still, I mean, somebody had made like a kind of route to that pass, almost even standing at the base of the pass. You cannot imagine there was any crossing there, too steep. But one little path, as usual, from where we could see some individual shepherd coming down, led us to the other sides. At the other side, again, at the side stream, which joins the Kaliheni Nala, coming from the Kaliheni Pass, we had big ice bridges, which really helped us a lot, as the path again on both sides of the valley of this stream was completely washed away by landslides, heavy cloudbursts, 16 August last year, which flooded a lot of the Himalayas. So the ice bridges came to our rescue to cross the stream in places which would have been impossible. Here you can see those landslides. This is actually the end of that stream where we are about to hit the main Kaliheni Nala. So here we actually tried to proceed on the left side. You can see myself walking here over complete landslides. Impossible to proceed further after a while. So we had to cross the snow bridge and find a path on the other side of the valley to actually be able to exit this impossible valley. You can see a small video walking across some of these ice bridges.
We are walking down the Marconi Pass stream below towards the Kaliheni Nala. The stream here is still covered by frozen snow from last winter. Only in the center it's opening up, melted through the stream water. Otherwise it's like a big snow bridge covering the stream, making it in some ways easier to cross for us and walk down, as heavy landslides on both sides have destroyed the slopes of the valley, and along with it the trails.
Traverse the side of the valley actually. So finally, again, we get completely stuck on the Kaliheni Nala, the wrong side. Try to walk through forest and high, shoulder-high, prickly plants until we finally find again a snow bridge to cross up, climb up 800 meters, almost very steep, to finally reach the main Kaliheni Nala, Kaliheni Pass trail, where we meet the shepherds in a beautiful campsite, which immediately invite us for some fresh tea and overnight stay and the sumptuous rotis fried over the campfire. Wonderful experience. Here you can see the view from the campsite on the Kaliheni Nala below, as the shepherds takes puff from his
came down pipe from the Marconi Pass. We were able to cross the Kaliheni Nala thanks to an ice bridge, and found a beautiful shelter here. A couple of shepherds.
You can see the stream through which we came, covered mostly by
staying in a beautiful place. The sheep are just coming up. We came from that side, crossing several snow bridges, and pitched up in the meadows next to this beautiful shelter. Down there is Barabangal, which we should be reaching by tomorrow morning.
I see my co-trekker, Mr. Leo.
We have a beautiful sit out.
Quite drained from the climb. Okay, then once we come down from this Kaliheni Nala, we enter Barabangal again. Previous time we had crossed the Tamsar Pass, so this time we are planning actually to follow the Ravi River here down this steeply cut valley to reach basically the beginning or the end of the Chamba Valley. So that, however, was like a very treacherous path. The main path actually, which connects Barabangal to the outside world through the Ravi River Valley, which you can see deep below there, like hundreds of meters and below along near vertical rock slopes. A couple of workers were drilling with local generators here in the rock to basically fix the path, which again had been landslided in several places. Then the final pass here, the Jalsu Pass, that was an easy one. So just 2 slides. On one side, the Chamba side, you have beautiful meadows through which you gradually up climb up. On the Kangra side, the plains of the Himalayas, you have this beautiful forest path leading to the Jalsu Pass. It was a bit challenging this year again. It was raining the whole day, slippery rocks, not a single flat section in this trail, all boulders, rocks, roots. So quite intense for the ankles, but really a beautiful path suitable for the beginners. Voila, that's it. You want to know more about the Dhauladhar East, please check out my blog, ultrajourneys.org, where you'll find these individual sections in detail with more photos, more descriptions to follow my footsteps. Also stay tuned to Instagram.com, Peter van Geit, where you'll get your daily dose of visual inspiration. See you guys tomorrow for my favorite section, the Pirpanjal